Welcome, welcome. It is already that time again. We are talking about the next month's predictions that Book of the Month might have to offer in their May 2025 box. Now, if April has taught me anything, it's that Book of the Month is always going to do some really unpredictable things. So, of course, not all of these predictions will be right on, and clearly Book of the Month is not going to select all of the books I talk about today. As I go over the categories, we're only thinking maybe 1 or 2 books per genre could end up getting picked up by Book of the Month. But even for the books that they don't select, maybe you'll find something that wasn't on your radar before that you might want to go ahead and pick up on your own. So that's what this all is about, just kind of general awareness for the new books that are coming out this May. And April 29th is going to be a big release day for books. I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if Book of the Month ends up dropping their picks for May on that day. So I'm including some books that are a part of that April 29th release day because I think that they could definitely be included. So what I'm kind of learning about Book of the Month as we go on, it feels like they are getting less likely to repeat authors that they've had before. There are, of course, some exceptions to that. I feel like if it's a sequel to a book that did really well, then they might pick that one up. Or if it's an author that they haven't featured in a while, maybe it's been a few years. So I do have some repeat authors in this May drop, but I kind of feel like they're leaning towards more of these debut authors that they want to feature than some authors that have already been featured in the past. So let's go ahead and get started. The general fiction picks this month are abundant, so I've actually split it up into a few categories. First up, we've got literary fiction. My book this month that I feel like is the most likely to be a lock is The Names. It is getting amazing reviews. It's a debut. The book spans 3 alternate timelines where the main character's son is given a different name in each of these timelines, and we see how him getting a different name in each of these timelines has changed the trajectory of their lives. Based on the descriptions, it sounds like this book gets pretty heavy with domestic abuse and healing, so as always, please check the trigger warnings before you read. Another debut, Lush. It's a UK release, but it looks like it's going to be available in the US at the end of May. 4 wine experts, each at a crucial point in their lives, arrive at a French vineyard estate for an unforgettable experience, but not the kind they expected. It looks like there's gonna be tons of food and wine descriptions here, so I'm not gonna lie, I'm intrigued by this book. Another debut, Sleep, follows the story of a newly divorced young mother forced to reckon with the secrets of her own childhood when she brings her daughters back to the big house where she was raised. So there are 3 debuts right off the bat that feel like they could be featured to me. Home of the American Circus is from Alison Larkin, who wrote The People We Keep, which was a pretty popular pick from a few years back. Her new novel is about a woman who was a bartender. She leaves that life to return home, and this is about what happens when she reconnects with her old friends and family and is forced to reckon with her past. So I think Larkin is an excellent candidate to be featured again. And right before I went to film this video, I actually checked out the Book of the Month Predictions Facebook group, and the news broke there that this book actually will be featured. So my guess is it's going to be an add-on, though I could honestly see it going either way as a main pick or an add-on. Frederick Bachman is a popular author. His new book, My Friends, will be out. I feel like he can sell pretty well on his own, but if Book of the Month gets it, I imagine this would be an add-on. Moving on to contemporary fiction, Favorite Daughter was on my April predictions list. It's back again because it releases on the 29th. It's a debut that gives off similar vibes to me as like Margot's Got Money Troubles. It's supposed to be pretty dark, comedic. The Road to Tender Hearts also comes out on the 29th. It's supposed to be a warm-hearted and funny book that follows an older man who goes on a cross-country road trip to reunite with his high school sweetheart at her retirement home to try to win her back. Main characters is the story of 2 half-sisters who meet for the first time at their father's cabin in Maine after his unexpected death. Run for the Hills is the newest from Kevin Wilson. He wrote Nothing to See Here. And I didn't really realize it before, but that cover looks very similar to The Road of Tender Hearts. And yes, this one's also about a road trip. So I imagine both of them won't be featured, maybe one of them. I Will Blossom Anyway is a romantic coming-of-age story about one woman's inspiring journey to find self-love, reconnect with family, and forge a new path for her future. What Will People Think is a debut about a woman trying to build her confidence as she pursues her dreams of being a stand-up comic. The author of this book is a former New York Times journalist. Moving on to historical fiction, The Original Daughter is a debut that explores the formation and dissolution of family bonds in a story of ambition and sisterhood in turn of the millennium Singapore. The Girls of Good Fortune is a historical drama set on the west coast of the US during the time of the Chinese Exclusion Act. Shopgirls is kind of an out-of-pocket pick. I'm kind of excited for it though. This is from the same author that wrote Mary Jane, which has kind of a passionate following. This one is also a coming-of-age story, as it follows a 19-year-old who works in a department store in 1980s San Francisco. I imagine there's going to be shoulder pads in this one. Isabel Allende's latest comes out. She wrote The Japanese Lover. This one is about a young writer who journeys to South America to uncover the truth about her father and herself. And The Devil Three Times is a debut that spans 8 generations of a Black family in West Tennessee as they are repeatedly visited by the devil. Over to fantasy and sci-fi, I think A Fate Inked in Blood did well enough that the sequel will probably be an add-on this month. The Amalfi Curse, it is a hotly anticipated new novel from Sarah Penner, who wrote The Lost Apothecary. That was a Book of the Year finalist back in 2021. That one comes out at the end of this month on the 29th, so I think it has the potential to be featured as well. Aftertaste follows a main character who discovers that he can reunite people with their deceased loved ones for the time it takes to eat a meal that he has prepared. So there's grief, love, many food references in this one. And again, I found out right before filming, we got the spoiler from the Facebook Book of the Month predictions group that this one will be featured. My guess that because it's a debut, it could be a main pick. The Incandescent is a fantasy dark academia that takes place in England. Since all these other books kind of feel more likely to be featured, this one's probably a long shot. And Book of the Month does sci-fi every once in a while. The Memory Collectors kind of seems up their alley. It follows 4 strangers as they time travel to the past and find themselves stuck on the day that all of their lives were changed. So I don't hold out too much hope for a sci-fi. I like sci-fi, but I know they've kind of gotten away from that. Over to thrillers, Alex North and Andrea Bartz. They have their latest books out this month. Book of the Month has featured North a few times already. Seems to sell pretty well. Julie Chan is Dead is a debut. It comes out on the 29th. I've been seeing a lot of positive buzz about this book, likening it to the book Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. A young woman steps into her deceased twin's influencer life only to discover dark secrets hidden behind her social media facade. So that's the one that I'm kind of hoping for. The Missing Half is another thriller out this month and something to potentially consider. I'm not putting them up as predictions, but Riley Sager and Lisa Jewell both have books that are coming out this June. I would be kind of curious to see if Book of the Month could maybe get one of those books a month early, kind of like how they did a few months back with the Alice Feeney book. And there's a few mysteries on here to consider as well. All right, romance. So they do really like them some Catherine Center over at Book of the Month. So she has her latest book out. So my knee-jerk reaction says that it's going to be an add-on, but I know a lot of people were disappointed that Abby Jimenez's latest book wasn't featured in April. So who knows? I kind of wish that they would have the new Kennedy Ryan book, but since they didn't have the second book in the series, I kind of think it's really doubtful that they will have the third. Lovesick is getting pretty good reviews and is getting blurbed by some pretty big romance authors. It's kind of giving me Grey's Anatomy vibes, and it's an enemies to lovers. Rachel Lynn Solomon's new book, What Happens in Amsterdam, is going to be coming out. She's been featured by Aardvark Book Club in the past, but this one is really hotly anticipated. And I've seen authors switch back and forth between the book boxes before, so I kind of think it might be possible. And 32 Days in May is about a young woman recently diagnosed with lupus who attempts a no-strings fling with a former television star. And Salty, Spiced, and a Little Bit Nice involves fake dating and food. And now to the Wildcards. These are the books that I never expect to be selected ever at all. It's just kind of my stab at a potential nonfiction or a memoir that sometimes Book of the Month throws a bone and offers. So in that category, The End is the Beginning is written by a poet. Jill Bielaski writes a lyrical portrait of her mother's life told in reverse order from burial to birth. So it seems really different and interesting. The Wanderer's Curse is a memoir about those of us who have an inclination to move around and move far from home. And that's an affliction that the author supposedly gets from her mother, so she's talking about that. And finally, Girl on Girl is a blazing critique of how early aughts pop culture turned women and girls against each other and themselves with disastrous consequences. So it's been a while since a book like this has been featured, but that's why it's a wild card. I don't necessarily expect it, but it's a book that I'm looking forward to, and I think it honestly might sell well. I am in that category of someone who grew up in high school and college during the early aughts, so I'm definitely interested to see what this book has to offer. So that's what I'm rocking with for Book of the Month this May. Of course, they're only gonna pick maybe 5 to 7 main picks and a few add-ons to go on top of that. So definitely not all these books. This is just so that you kind of have general awareness of a lot of the cool books that are coming out this month. Maybe you saw something that interested you that you might want to pick up on your own if Book of the Month doesn't offer it. So thank you so much for coming back with me this month to talk about the different options that Book of the Month might have for May. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to me here on YouTube, and you can also follow me over on Instagram and TikTok at BookTrovertBliss. Have a great day, and I hope Book of the Month features the books that you're interested in this upcoming May.